The weak cannot interfere with the path laid out by our master. Crush them underfoot.
What's going on, guys? Run it back with another replay for y'all. Just listening to Valkia give another amazing speech. 10 out of 10 work. Good job. It's going to be Bretonia and Khorne. I am helming Khorne. It's been a minute since I actually cast one of my own replays, but this is a perfect candidate. This was a absolute brawl of a game against Turin. Very recently, you can watch his perspective from his most recent live stream if you want. It's worth seeing, honestly, and there's a lot of things I learned from watching his perspective after the fact, and saw some things that I could clean up on my own end. But you know, we're gonna show off what SkullCannons can do against cavalry-heavy factions, High Elves and Bretonia being the two most notable, I would say. Grand Cathay sometimes. Grand Cathay can bring other stuff, but SkullCannons are pretty decent in that matchup. Although, you know, there are cannons, which make it a little bit more perilous for these guys, but you can see doing some pretty good work here. And if you'll notice, I actually have two SkullCannons, some Minotaurs, Halberds, and Marauders with a Chaos Warrior Valkia, but no Marauder Horsemen, and these units here are exactly the reason why. Horse Archer units body your throwing axes pretty hard. They completely box you out, and even if they don't box you out, they can chase your guys around the map and just shoot them down, which really sucks because the throwing axes are kind of expensive. As well as being very important to your faction's combat abilities. So, trying to do what I can with the SkullCannons to outskirmish them, which they do pretty effectively. They're very good against Illyrian Reaver Archers and Mounted Yeomen and the like. Yeah, these aren't the most expensive units in the world, but that is a decent amount of ranged pressure, and killing them also behooves you, just because if your opponent wants to unsummon them, if they're damaged as well as not having any ammo left, they actually don't get much of a rebate back. So they can't just suddenly unsummon these guys, get like, I would say you probably get like 500-600 back for unsummoning all these guys at full health. Not each, but in total, and then you can just summon out, you know, like a Grail Knight if you've been saving up a decent amount. So killing them actually lessens that pretty considerably, makes it a little bit less likely for your opponent to get out scarier stuff than these guys. So, right now, another good use of SkullCannons, just firing side shots onto infantry units like this. These Holy Wardens are in a winning fight, which is why Turin took this engagement, but these SkullCannons are just perfectly lined up on the flank, and you can see those shots, man. I mean, that's killing models every single time, which means that healing is just not a factor. You know, if you dropped I mean, you wouldn't do it, but if you dropped a regrowth on these Holy Wardens, they really wouldn't heal that much because they only have 50 models left. As opposed to if they were just losing against Marauders and they, you know, were down to about this much, they'd probably have like 90 to 100 models left. Even at this point, they take regrowth really well, but with the SkullCannons just obliterating models, healing's not going to be too valuable for Bretonia up to this point. And I do have a bit of a value lead. It's not tremendous, and I need to be really careful. While I am winning some of these engagements, my Marauders here are being overwhelmed. Rapunzel is really difficult to deal with. She's hard to kill in general, and she provides some pretty huge buffs to stuff in blobs. So I don't really want to be taking this fight, but I do need to hold here for just a bit. I'm trying to wrestle this middle objective, which is a bit of a bad idea. Down here on the low ground, a Sloughnir did go down. Hit all of these men-at-arm units. And my Marauders are actually... Marauders would actually probably beat almost all three of these units at this stage by themselves, as long as they're not surrounded. I'm actually out-capping him at this point. They're a little silly in my opinion, but, you know, it is what it is. Good Earthblood going down. You know, these guys have quite a few models left. They're getting some nice healing, taking that very well. I'm going to just retreat away now. It's a losing fight for me. These halberds are very expensive, and they do beat the polearms, but these polearms do hit back with their own AP, just because they also have halberds, so don't really want to take that fight the way I am right now. So it's just going to be going down here in the middle instead. Shot from SkullCannon missing. That's pretty bad. These guys are out of ammo now, but they do have another use, and they do have something else that they can do in order to get some ammo back, and that's just getting to melee. And these guys are great single entity chariots. They're much better chariots since the most recent patch, but even before they were okay. Now they're actually pretty sauced in melee combat against infantry. You can see how much damage they're doing, and I pop the Horn of Corn here. Everything in this blob here getting massive boosts to their melee attack and just crushing through these men-at-arms polearms. I am taking this fight on the low ground. I do have my Minotaurs sitting on top of the Marauders here. Fighting against spears isn't ideal for the Minotaurs. I am going to need to pull them back, but they are getting some good kills here. And thinning out the Bretonnian infantry and chaff is really important, because your Minotaurs need to be on top of chaff units in order to stop up a lot of damage that Grail Knights can do to them. But Grail Knights also need the exact same thing out of their peasants. They need the peasants underneath them to mitigate damage and to, you know, be self-preserving, really. Valkia here, pretty nice Sloughtmere, hitting all of these units and tanking leadership, doing a lot of damage. You really love to see it. It's going to help these Marauders immensely. Marauders do beat Battle Pilgrims, actually. It's a really close fight, and sometimes Battle Pilgrims win it, but on the whole, I mean, they're 200 gold cheaper than Battle Pilgrims, so it's a very favorable trade regardless. Fighting against the Grail Knights back here. Knights of the Lionhearted coming in too, and they do have an isolation on this SkullCannon, which is scary. I'm going to have to try and pull this guy out. I cannot lose my SkullCannons. They're very important. Pulling some Minotaurs from this side over here. I do have a core of infantry on this side. I just wanted to hold my objective over here. I was doing pretty well here, and Raponce in the middle is just sitting. If Raponce had moved off, I would have moved these guys over to cap this objective, but Turin not giving the objective up for free. Just pretty well played by him. It does make it look like this is very cautious, but honestly, these are pretty aggressive engagements that I'm taking. Considering I have, you know, SkullCannons. SkullCannons make it pretty important for your opponent to get aggressive, which is really nice for Khorne. Khorne actually wants the opponent to come to them. Obviously, you want to get your charge bonuses off. I mean, Khorne is excellent on the charge, but forcing your opponent to have to take fights against you in circumstances like this, where you've got like Knights of the Realm and the like, trying to dive through and get on SkullCannons or deal with Minotaurs and other supporting elements is great for you. You can see how quickly, man. Another Horn of Corn coming down. This is the benefit of playing against a chaff-heavy faction like the Bretonnians. You just get free uses out of your Horns of Corn and the like. And, yeah. Knights of the Realm, not even an opportunity to heal them up. Just absolutely massacred by the Minotaurs. And Bloodletters, man. Bloodletters are amazing in this matchup. I mean, normally I would say bring an Exalted Bloodletter, but regular Bloodletters just hit so freaking hard against all these crappy infantry, and even against Knights. You can see here they do take a really nasty charge from Grail Knights, which is going to do a lot of damage to them, but they're providing a lot of buffering for the Minotaurs in here, who are really smacking around the Knights of the Realm, and there's the Grail Knight banner. You can see down to, very, very little amount of health. They're taking pretty serious casualties too, because Valkia is in here picking off models as well. A heal coming in here, which is going to do a lot for the Knights of the Realm, but the Grail Knights have taken the worst of the damage, and now with SkullCannons firing into the side here, they've got a couple of volleys, actually. It's usually worth it to try and get as many volleys back as you want, and just to pause real quick, because this is something that needs to be noted. SkullCannons have a bug right now, or if you do what you normally would do with a unit like this, press Alt, or hold Alt down to give them the melee attack order, they will just shoot if they have ammo. I don't know why that is. It's really annoying. But if you go to the tooltip and manually click on the force melee on these guys, they will actually not shoot if you turn off fire at will, which is really nice, because you can then run around the battlefield charging down infantry and kiting around pretty effectively, and then you can charge up a few volleys and then get some good counterfire on cavalry units and the like. I did rotate towards the middle. Didn't go too well, though. My halberds are getting a little damage on these Knights of the Realm, which is nice. But the Marauders, they got beaten back. I don't know what else I brought. I think I may have just sent these 3 units up there. And, you know, it is what it is. The halberds are, you know, decently healthy still. The Knights Errant are running away from them, though. But, you know, my opponent still has to deal with them at some point. Fire from the SkullCannons coming in here on the Knights Errant, doing some good work. And Knights Errant charging into the SkullCannons is actually not great for them. They have pretty bad armor piercing, and they're just giving ammo to the SkullCannons. And the SkullCannons heal pretty well in combat too. They do have Gore Feast, and fighting against a unit like Knights Errant that don't have anti-large attacks means these guys are actually in a pretty good position to get some passive healing. It's not amazing, and you really shouldn't rely on it to keep their you know, like, tankiness online. They are very tanky units, but only if you can maneuver them well. If you can't maneuver them, they're gonna just lose and die, and you're gonna cry about it, because they're pretty squishy to anything with anti-large attacks. Oh man, this game has been crazy. Off on the #1 objective, some Grail Guardians have come out. They are fighting my Chaos Warriors of Khorne. Chaos Warriors of Khorne, though, they'll hold for a while against these guys. They have decent melee defense. They don't punch back very well, but they're just a good holding unit. They got a lot of armor. They're not too scared of this. Sword of Khorne coming down. I want the slow motion, but it's going to take forever, so... Yeah, there we go. Boom. Absolute brutality. I mean, literally taking these units down to absolutely no health left, shattering, or not shattering, but breaking all of them, and sending them packing, man. SkullCannon shot followed it up and killed some more models of these guys, which is really nice, and that's no rebate on all these horse archers, is pretty painful. Down here on the #3 objective, just to circle back over here, I do have Marauder Horsemen out. They came out a bit ago. I didn't really focus on them, but they've been doing great work against the polearms here. They've just been throwing their axes all game. They're pretty low health, mostly because of the counterfire from the archers here. But, you know, once I killed most of the knights and brought these fleshhounds out, these guys rotated back up top there, as you can see. And, yeah, these guys were able to just kind of run free and just deal with all the polearms. You know, polearms, very vulnerable, don't have shields, so the horsemen get full damage against them with that, and then they can also charge these guys down if they aren't braced, because these guys have crazy melee attack. For a skirmisher unit, at least. They've got 32 melee attack with Frenzy up. They get a +5 bonus versus infantry, which is nothing to sneeze at, honestly. They have 40 weapon strength and a charge bonus of 40. So these are actually amazing at flattening chaff infantry. And Unit of Furies coming in. They're going to start chewing on the Grail Relique. Actually, I can kill this thing with the Furies. Furies are pretty good at killing these, but only if they get an isolation on them. You can see they just surround it, and Furies attack so effectively. They don't have a ton of armor piercing, but they have enough, and the weight of their attacks, just in sheer volume, is going to be enough to start chipping that old thing down. Now, circling away from the #3, back to the #1, where the Grail Guardians are, I do bring some Furies in just to stop these guys up, help out my Marauders and the Chaos Warriors, who have taken quite a few casualties, but I'm trying to help them out there a little bit. Karanak did come out. I'm sure you saw him. He attracted the blob of Yeoman, and then I sort of cornered all of that, which was very funny. But, you know, Karenak's been chasing down the healer here, the Damsel of Life, who's just kind of running away right now. Valkia and Karenak were helping against the Grail Guardians. She was trying to drop the regrowth, which is going down now, which is really nice for them. Oh, man, that's a big, bad situation for me. But I do kill the defenders of the Fleur-de-Lis who came over to help with the help of Minotaurs. Minotaurs still going strong. Karenak, Valkia, and SkullCannons now going to be able to turn their attention to the Grail Guardians, who, at this stage of the game, you can see Turin's got a little bit of supply, but he doesn't really have anything to bring out. I killed the two cheap knight units that he had access to, have gotten absolutely wrecked by this Minotaur unit in succession, which really hurts. So the Grail Guardians are actually pretty much impossible to support now. Doesn't have enough supplies to bring in anything else. So Knights of the Realm now would be a good choice. I don't know what he's got access to, though. So, yeah, just getting free value against these Grail Guardians, who, up to this point, they've been absolutely solid. But Valkia is amazing against these guys. As long as she's not alone and surrounded, she just picks off, like, 2 or 3 models at a time on units like this. And I think that's what Valkia is actually best used for, is going in and picking off individual models of cavalry and monstrous infantry and stuff like that with, you know, just supporting marauders and halberds or whatever. And she's good at chasing stuff off, too. It's very important to chase off units like this. I mean, these guys have 14 models left. They could get another regrowth and be really nasty in the late game, so making sure that they go off the battlefield like they just did here is pretty insane. That's pretty insane value. That is not reflected in the actual damage value. Finishing off the last few Beast Slayers of Bastogne here with the Minotaur Great Weapons. You just absolutely flatten them on the charge. I mean, there were only like 20 of them left, but it's pretty ugly for them. Knights of the Realm gonna try and do something here. They do kind of catch the Minotaurs here, but these guys are just gonna turn around and smack the hell out of them. Gotrek coming in here, though. Gotrek is going to be able to deal with Minotaurs pretty easily. He's a pretty juicy fighter. Although the Marauder Horsemen throwing axes with their attacks would actually be pretty good against him. Oh, the Grail Relic is still alive. I thought I killed it, but apparently not. So this blob here getting a lot of stickiness and power. So I'm just going to rotate away. Knights of the Lionhearted coming back out again. Using Prey the Blood God to keep Rapunzel from getting herself over here to help these guys out. Minotaurs get a side charge, and the Knights of the Lionhearted are dead. There's no healing that can save them from this. Absolutely flatten these guys. You love to see it, man. And that's the power of Minotaurs. You know, they are expensive and pretty vulnerable to missiles and some other stuff. Not great against halberds and spears, which Bretonnia does have a lot of, but man, oh man. If you can control the flow of engagements with Khorne against Bretonnia, it's a beautiful thing. And luckily, I've been able to do that for the most part. I've had the initiative for quite a while now. I am grinding back the tickets, but I don't love doing the math. So, I'm just going to end up grabbing this number 3 objective here in a minute. I'm going to fast forward just a bit, stop here, just to show off the power of horsemen stacked on top of Minotaurs. Minotaurs need support, like I said, and the throwing horsemen are actually really good, like I said, against infantry. And with Minotaur support, they'll hold up against cavalry too, because the Minotaurs, you can just kind of force path in the direction of the cavalry, running through the infantry that are getting bowling pinned around by the throwing axes, and then just, Minotaurs profit all day. While the horsemen soak up damage, give it back to the infantry unit, and the Minotaurs just cackle and win. SkullCannons just kind of rolling around here, you know. This one's going to get a nice shot down the side of these pole arms, hitting the spears and everything here. Pretty beautiful. Gotta try to get a fat hit on the SkullCannon. Yeah, getting it out of there immediately. Horn of Corn going down. It just army abilities for days in this game. Farming peasants for those charges. Rapun's beating Valkia pretty badly. Valkia just doesn't win a 1v1 against Rapun's, who's just absolutely hounding her. Kiranak, he's just chilling here. The game is pretty much over at this stage. We've got some Hounds of the Blood Hunt with Minotaurs here. The Hounds can take the charge pretty well. They have Gore Feast. It's much better for them to take the charge than the Minotaurs. Minotaurs give you the punching power, while the Hounds hold as long as possible. And you just win and profit that way. That's how you get it. Relentless Rage going down as well on the Minotaurs, just in case. You know, I didn't want them to, you know, suddenly break. They don't have amazing leadership. It's like 65 or something like that. Maybe it's 70. I don't remember. I can find out for sure later. But you want Frenzy up as much as possible, as well as just not, you know, taking any rear charges and watching your stuff suddenly rout, which is a really ugly position to be in. So, doing my best to make that, you know, not a reality. And I do have the triple cap, and Turin is just out of gas at this point. He's got some defenders rolling down here in the late game, but going to intercept with the Warhounds, and that's going to be it. GG, well played to him. It was a great scrap, but he just didn't have any answers for the SkullCannons. The SkullCannons can be dealt with for sure. There are lots of answers to them, but those answers are, in turn, very squishy to Minotaurs. You know, because you're basically bringing characters. You'd be bringing Lewin or Alberic, as well as Henri or Paladins, and all of those guys are very vulnerable to Minotaur charges, and Valkia as well. Valkia fights all those guys pretty effectively too, so she can fly in, help out one SkullCannon, Minotaurs can take another, and my idea was also, if there were, you know, characters flying around, I could just retreat to the halberds and value trade from those positions of strength, because, you know, Khorne halberds, they shred characters, man. If a character tries to sit on top and fight the SkullCannon, they're gonna take obscene amounts of damage from the halberds. Halberds are pretty crazy, because these guys have frenzy and a really high bonus versus large as well, with good weapon strength and the like. They even have a good charge bonus. It's kind of wild. So, anyways, lots of typically underrated stuff from Khorne coming out here, and I really just wanted to show off what they can do. Just showing some values here. Pretty good on the Grail Knights. I mean, they paid for themselves, but the problem is that this is a carry unit. They're 1,700 gold. They have to win all their fights, and they have to stay healthy and get you like 2,500 before you're really starting to talk about, wow, those Grail Knights carried. And as it stands, they just, paying for themselves is just not enough against Khorne. Especially when you're looking at, I mean, these Knights Errant and the defenders just got absolutely smacked around this game. Knights of the Lionhearted says they did come in twice. Most of the value they got was the first go-around, and that, as you saw, that second fight on the high ground in the middle, very bad for them. So yeah, that's going to be it. I hope you guys learned something here. You know, there's a lot of stuff in the Khorne roster, and yeah, as you can see, it's all pretty cost-effective. So I hope you guys enjoyed this one. Take care. Peace.